All right, Spirit Week. Today's Tuesday, day 137. We're getting started with math, and it is Team Tuesday. I'm Team PlayStation, and I'm ready to go. My sport is gaming. Let's go. For math today, we are working on Unit 7, which is geometry. I would like for you guys to get started on your PDN. Number 1, it says, what is the measure of angle number 2? The measure of angle number 2. So just like any other math problem, we're going to start with what we already know. The information that is known above states that angle number 1 is 50 degrees. Let me move all of this out of the way. Now we're trying to figure out what is angle number 2. So we'll put that is the unknown. And how do we figure that out? Now, we know that we have 50 degrees and we're trying to travel from 50 to 140. The easiest way to figure that out is to create a subtraction problem because we're trying to get from 1 degree to the next. So we will definitely subtract with your pencil and paper on deck. We will subtract 140, take away 50. Now we have 140, take away 50. Now if I worked on that problem, I would actually start from the ones place. 0 take away 0 is 0. 4 take away 5 can't be done, so we're going to cross that out and borrow. Now when we regroup, we have 14, take away 5. When you are done, you should come up with 90. So in the end, 90 degrees. So angle 2 equals 90 degrees. Moving right along to question number 2, what is the measurement of angle 2? Again, we have one angle that equals 80 degrees. We have another angle that starts from 80 and ends at 150. And then lastly, we have an angle that starts from 150 and ends at 180. I'm going to follow the same process that we did with question number 1. So since we're starting at one point and we're ending at another, we have to subtract. Now we know we're not starting from 0. Our starting point is 80 for angle 2. And our ending point is 150. So what we have to do is we have to subtract 150 degrees from 80 degrees. And our answer is 70 degrees. So our final answer will be angle 2 equals 70 degrees. Make sure you have this process written out on your paper. Let's keep it moving. Today, our aim is that students will be able to measure and draw angles. We're going to sketch given angle measurements and verify with a protractor. So, for today's class, I took the liberty of printing out a paper protractor, and it looks like this. I was able to print it out, and it has all the numbers going from one end to the other. Using protractors is a very simple task. We use a protractor to measure the size of angles. Angles are measured in degrees, and to measure an angle, we start at our base, which is right here in the middle. This is where we put our vertex of our angle. Now, we have to figure out if we use the inside, which are the numbers in the inside, or if we use the outside, the numbers going along the outside. Now, let's make sure we have an example so we can know what we're doing. When we look at figure number 1, we have several different angles. So I'm just going to choose an angle. I'm going to choose angle W, and I'm going to put the protractor that I printed out against the screen. And when I measure that angle, and I start at the vertices and I measure it out, it is an obtuse angle, and it measures 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, 110, 120, 130, 140 degrees. Now, what's really cool about angle W is that you can find out what angle Y is from the results of angle W, and I'll show you how. When you have opposite angles, such as W and Y, they are always congruent. And that's just a fancy word for saying that they're equal. So whenever you have angles that are on opposing sides, they will automatically be equal. And the algebraic term for that is congruent. Now let's look at figure number 2. I have to place my protractor at an angle because my vertices has to be represented. Now when I put it along there, I have it starting at the base, and when I count up by tens, I can see that my angle is exactly 50 degrees. So figure number 2 is 50 degrees. The type of angle that's 50 degrees is an acute angle, so we can keep it moving on to figure 3. At figure 3, when I put my protractor up against the angle, I make sure that my vertices is on the base, and I'm using the outside, and I go from 0 all the way to 120. Now, if figure number 3 is 120 degrees, who can tell me what type of angle that is? You're right. It is an obtuse angle. Sometimes we can just eyeball the angles to see how large they are, but at other times we may have to go in and be really, really particular on what we're doing. So for figure number 3, I could just tell that that was going to be an obtuse angle. But for figure number 2, I really needed to measure it to see whether it was going to be a right angle or an acute angle. Now, let's look at figure number 4. For figure number 4, we have to use the entire circular protractor. Now, when we use the circular protractor, it looks exactly like this. So altogether, it equals 360 degrees. And the way that I knew that we had to use the circular protractor is because it had a circle going on the outside of the angle. It had this circle. So I knew that I would have to use my circular protractor. Now, even eyeballing this angle, which is angle QRS, I knew that it would be an obtuse angle because it looks significantly larger than a regular acute or right angle. Now when I take my protractor and I measure it with the circular protractor and I put the vertices at the base, I can see that this angle is 180, 190, 200, 210, 220, 230 degrees large. That would definitely make it an obtuse angle. Let's keep it moving, guys. Next page is asking us to construct angles that measure the given number of degrees. For problems number 1 through 4, we're going to use the ray that's shown as one of the rays of the angle with its endpoint at the vertices of the angle. So we're going to draw an arc to indicate the angle that was measured. Now, the way that would look is like this. So number 1 is asking us to draw an angle that is 30 degrees. So I'm going to take my regular protractor and I'm going to place it down on my paper. I'll start with a ray, just a baseline ray, and that's going to look like this. I want you guys to see. So I just drew one ray and I'm going to make my angle 130 degrees. So if I'm working with my protractor and I have my protractor down at my base and it's starting right here at the base, the way that I'm going to draw 30 degrees is I'm going to take the protractor and I'm going to count 10, 20, 30, and then I'll make a mark indicating that that's my 30. Now I'm going to put it down and make sure that I can get this next ray together. I'm going to start at the base of my vertices and I'm going to draw my line from the vertices up to the mark where I made for 30. Now, when I connect them, I have this, and this is a 30-degree angle. Now, let's move on to number 2. They're asking us to create a 65-degree angle, so I'm going to make sure that I start out with my regular ray. Just going to make a line going straight across with arrows on the end. And I'm going to start from right there. I take out my protractor, I make sure that I put it at the base, and then when I have it at the base, I'm going to count out my protractor to 60. You guys see that? So when I count out to 65, when I count out to 65, I go 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, and then right in the middle, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is 65. So that's the marker that I'm making to create my 65-degree angle from my base. When I connect the two, my angle will look like this. Now I have a 65-degree angle. So you can actually practice out drawing angles at different degrees on your own. I do want to make sure that you guys get your independent practice done, and that is to draw your base ray first and draw out the angles that are identified in questions number 5, 6, and 7, 8, 9, and 10. We have to make sure that we're finishing our exit tickets and turning them in. That is the way that you guys get your grades. Now, since my sport was gaming and we're done with the lesson, game over. See you guys tomorrow. Have a great day.